Hi everyone, Abby Steele here. Please excuse my very raspy voice and my nasally tones. I'm recovering from the super cold, but of course life goes on, phonics goes on. So here I am with my post-cold voice. Anyway, welcome to today's little short video. It's about a frequently asked question that we get. This question's just come in from somebody, and I'm so glad that you asked these questions. It's really important, this dialogue that we have about phonics. So the question is, what if my accent doesn't match the sound that we're teaching? And absolute true fact, people pronounce sounds differently in different regions and countries. There's no escaping this. We have lots of different accents, dialects, pronunciations all over the place. One of the things that we need to do about this is embrace it and tackle it straight on. We don't hide away from this. We don't try and make out like this doesn't happen. This is a feature of our language, and it's very interesting. So when I'm doing training and I'm going through the sounds with people, I'm very careful to say up front, before we even start saying sounds, actually everybody, the way that we're going to say the sounds, I'm going to be pronouncing sounds with my accent, but the way you say the sound might be quite different. That doesn't mean that I'm correct because I'm the expert standing up here giving the training at all. It literally just means we have different accents. And then I give this example. I say, in my accent, where I'm from, I say umbrella, but I'm aware that there's lots of places around the country where people pronounce it as umbrella, and I apologize, I'm terrible at doing accents, but a sort of deeper sound. It's a sort of a northern accent, and that's really common, and they are equally correct. It is in fact so common that it makes it almost impossible to produce a phonics program that caters for all of those variations. Like if we tried to do that, if we tried to include all of those variations, there's just so many, it would just be really, really difficult. Here's another little example. The or sound is considered the most unstable sound in the language because it has the most spelling variations, and it's not consistent for everybody. So for me, the examples listed at the bottom of the page, there's 12 examples down there, 12 spelling examples. They're all or, it's just or. So looking at the sort of the picture examples, I've got or fork, or astronaut, or door, or daughter, or for, or snore, or strawberry. So for me, it's really consistent, but I'm very aware that across the country, there's massive variations. And when I go to places like Manchester, we'll have great discussion in the room about the fact that even the teachers that come from in and around the Manchester area, so even within that same geographical area, there's differences, and they'll say, well, actually, the part that I'm from, I hear perhaps 6 of those examples as or, but actually the other 6 spelling examples, it's not, it's a different sound. And I actually can't produce the other sound. It's not in my oral sort of phonemic ability to do that, but it's a wider or sound, and it might work for you. And so this is another one that we need to be really open and flexible about, that there will be pronunciation differences. So instead, what we need to do about it, because we can't produce a program that caters for all of those differences, we need to understand that our phonics teaching requires flexibility. We've got to be really flexible. We've got to embrace this. We've got to celebrate people's accents and respect them. That's really important. And it's really interesting talking about accents and finding out about where people are from. So we can openly discuss with children the way we pronounce those sounds and words, and literally level with them, be transparent and explain to them that the way they hear a word is quite likely to affect the way that they might spell it. One of the reasons that spelling can be so difficult. And sometimes when I work with schools, people will say, oh gosh, this makes absolute sense. When the children were in this year group, that particular teacher comes from that part of the world or that part of the country. They have a really strong accent, and yeah, we've noticed that the children spell in a way that reflects the accent they're hearing. And then when they go to the next class, that teacher's from that part of the world or that part of the country with a different accent, and that has an impact as well. So again, just really interesting and really good to be transparent. Another thing that you might do is that actually in some areas teachers might simply decide to skip a lesson. So you might decide that the particular lesson really doesn't apply to the region in which you're living, and therefore the children don't really need to learn about that with that sound that doesn't apply to them. So you can either skip the lesson, or you can make alterations to your lesson to align it with the local pronunciation. And I've got a little example of that. So here is a lesson in Rocket Phonics that is exploring the R sound, where it is represented by the letter A, or the grapheme, the A and the L together. So words like, for me, path, and half, but actually it's really, really common in a lot of parts of the country that you wouldn't pronounce it path, you'd pronounce it path with a short A sound. That's absolutely equally as valid. So you can either still have that lesson, and you would simply be saying to the children, well, some people say path, we don't, we say path, and embrace it and use that as what an interesting lesson to have and to talk about. You know, it's interesting, it's completely normal to have different accents. Or if you don't feel that that's appropriate for your children, you simply skip over it and don't have that lesson, and that's not going to have any big impact on their sort of ability to progress with phonics. So I hope you found that useful and interesting. By all means, get in touch with me with any further questions, and we can address it in the same sort of way. Quick video that we can share around, and thank you for asking.